Hi, and welcome to the video that will outline some high school information. I know there was a lot of parents who wanted to come out for the high school information night, and unfortunately, due to some weather and delays, it just didn't seem to happen. So instead of just sending out the slides, I really wanted to take an opportunity to explain the high school information. So I've decided to put this out as a YouTube video for any parents that are currently here, but also for parents that are not here right now that are interested in what our high school program has to offer. So you'll see the QR code up on the screen right now. Should you wish to have this information in the slide share save with you, you can screenshot or save the QR code, and then that way you have this information at your fingertips at all times. All right, so first and foremost, I like to explain to parents how you just graduate from high school. So it has changed over the years, and if you've not attended high school in Ontario, this could be seen as a difficult path to navigate. So Ontario actually has 3 different ways that you can graduate from high school. So the first and foremost is the OSSD pathway. That is the more typical pathway that a student would travel. So that is getting 30 credits in total. A credit equals 1 class. So when you take a class in high school and you pass that class in high school, you receive what's called a credit, 1 credit. So of those 30 credits, 17 are compulsory, which means they have no choice. They have to take those 17. 13 are considered optional or elective credits. Again, this is the most common pathway, and this is the pathway that's required for university and college admissions. The second pathway is called the OSSC, or the Ontario Secondary School Certificate Pathway. Essentially, this is a halfway point. So you're earning 14 credits total, 7 of which are compulsory, 7 of which are optional. This is an alternative certificate program, and it will prepare you for a few college and apprenticeship programs in colleges. The last one is the Certificate of Accomplishment. Essentially, you're gaining anywhere from no credits up to 13 credits. And it is purely a certificate. It's a recognized achievement. It's for students with highly modified programs, and it really just celebrates individual progress. Here at SJSH, we will offer the OSSD, and on occasion, there's been 1 or few students who have earned the OSSC, but completely honestly, we are a school that only typically offers the Ontario Secondary School Diploma, the most common pathway. If you take a look at the bottom there, it also talks about the additional requirements for every single pathway. There is a community service requirement for Ontario high schools. They must complete 40 hours of community involvement. So essentially 10 hours in a school year, 10 hours a school year. So 40 hours total in 4 years of schooling. And then the literacy test. So in grade 10, students would take the Ontario Secondary School Literacy Test, or the OSSLT. And they must pass that in order to demonstrate literacy proficiency. Now, this test is marked out of 400, and a passing score is a mark out of 300. So essentially, students need to earn a 75% in order to pass the literacy test. Should a student not pass the literacy test, they have the option of taking the test again, or there is also an OSSLC, which is the Ontario Secondary School Literacy Course. So it's an actual course that students can take. And once they pass the course or they pass the test, then that qualification or that requirement is met. So that's how you graduate from an Ontario high school. Just taking a look at what these compulsory credits are. This is standard for everybody in Ontario. So every single student in Ontario will have to take these 17 compulsory credits in order to graduate. So effective as of September 2024, it had changed previously. So if there's students that are right now in high school that entered prior to 2024, they actually have a little bit different of what their compulsory and their elective credits are. But everybody coming in now, this is what they have to live by. So again, 30 credits total, 40 hours of community service, and pass the literacy test. And if you take a look down, it is talking about the different credits that they have to take. So there are 4 credits in English, grade 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 3 credits in math, grade 9, 10, 11. 2 science credits that are required, 1 geography, 1 art credit, a gym credit, a French credit, a tech credit, the grade 10 careers and civics credit, which is actually a split credit. So they'll get half a credit for civics and half a credit for careers. That's a really great course. So the grade 10 civics focuses on Canadian politics, municipal, provincial, federal. It talks about how to be a citizen, voting, how our system works. And then the other half of that course is careers. So it takes a look at what's out there. What courses might you take after high school? What are your strengths? What would be a good fit for you as a potential next step after high school? And then there's a STEM related course and the grade 10 history. That's kind of squished together, but those are two separate. And then there's 13 electives. The electives credits, I really like to choose interesting, fun elective credits, and I believe the next slide shows those. So I'll explain what type of electives that the students can take here. So there is some flexibility with these compulsory credits. So as a principal, I have the ability to substitute up to 3 of these compulsory courses for any other course to better match interest. Without advertising it, but advertising it, the grade 9 French tends to be the one that is most substituted. And that's for students that either are coming from an international school where they had no French exposure, a student that has been here in one of our small ratio classes and again has had little to no French exposure over their middle school years. Sometimes it comes down to a parent request. So the grade 9 French is typically the most waived course or substitute course, but again, there are others if a parent or a family feels they might need it. Okay, so the optional credits. So there's lots of optional credits that we offer here at SJSH. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that parents make, or biggest mistakes that they assume at SJSH. They'll say, well, you're a small school, therefore you're not going to offer as wide of a variety, and that's actually very much not the truth. So the way that I look at optional credits are, I actually dig deep into the curriculum and I like to find some really good ones that I think would the students would really enjoy. So there's these categories: culinary and wellness, social studies, there's business tech, arts and media, human behavior, and also specialized studies, different types of courses. Some of our most interesting and fun ones over the years, the students really do like the foods and nutrition, the culinary ones that we've offered. I've offered a woodworking course where the students made boats with Mr. McNichol, and they actually went to the Huron Natural area to test it out. I've had set design classes that I paired up with our spring productions, and students were actually making my set designs. We've done drama, music, arts and media. Another one that's a really good one is a peer support credit that students are paired with some of our elementary students, and they actually go into the elementary classes and are essentially a peer teacher, and then they earn a credit for it. So there's a lot of really interesting ones that we offer. The other question that I get a lot of time about the optional credits is, well, what about co-op? So co-op is done a little bit differently here. We do have experiential experiences that students can opt into. Typically it's in the May-June semester, and I'll explain the 3 semesters in a moment. But in the May-June semester, the grade 11s and 12s, sometimes the grade 10s, but mostly 11s, can be paired with a work experience. I've had students paired with carpentry places out in New Hamburg, hairstyling places. Last year I had 2 students, maybe it was 3 students. I had 2 students that went to the Advanced Pain Clinic from Dr. Muna on Fairway Road. I've had students do placements in food banks and hospitals. I have accountants that are parents here that have offered to host students. So pairing them up with an experiential experience, and then what I do is I match a credit that goes best with that. So it's a co-op class that you earn a credit through. Now, if I go into basically what our high school is designed to do, the high school here is really designed to prepare your child for that post-secondary. Like, that really is what it's for. Finishing high school, you get that golden ticket, you get that OSSD, and that's your ticket into a post-secondary institution. Now, from my own personal experience, I graduated from a local Cambridge high school, and while my average was really strong, and I got into Laurier, Waterloo, and Guelph, when I went to Wilfrid Laurier, I found out very quickly that I don't know how to study, I didn't know how to write an essay, I didn't understand formatting, I couldn't manage my time, and my marks went down from my final year in high school in OAC, that grade 13, from a high 80 to a C-, which is like a 60%. So I dropped significantly in my marks. And what bothered me at the time is that's that's kind of that's just accepted in society. People just say, oh, well, your marks are definitely going to drop going from high school to university. Why is that accepted? Why is that allowed? Why? I don't understand that. But that basically means is whatever high school you went to, they let you down. They didn't prepare you. So once I finished my first degree and I chose to get into teaching and I started teaching here, I became head of high school around 2008. That's when I said, I want to fix this for SJSH students. I want to know that when I sign that diploma to say, here you go, you have graduated, I want to know for certain that that child is ready. And so in between 2008 and 2012, I spent a lot of time reorganizing our entire curriculum here. I mean, I made sure it follows with the Ontario expectations, of course, but I developed all of these soft skills that would go with the expectations of the hard skills. And I started with the grade 12s, and I said, well, my grade 12s, you need to go into university already operating as if you're first or even second year students. So in order to do that, these are the skills that you have to be able to do. And so I just built it down, 12s, 11s, 10s, 9s, 8s, all the way down. And I started with our JK program. I said, all right, we have to change up our JK program and add some of these things just to make sure that the students are climbing this ladder. So the information that I have on here is just talking about that university gap. The universities do track students from every single high school, and then they adjust that entrance average based on that. University of Waterloo published this a little while ago, specifically about their engineering program, and they listed schools that they took marks off of. SJSH was not on that list, so they do not take marks off of our programs. Sometimes students ask about, well, why don't they, or why do they? SJSH is too small of a sample size for a university to really make a prediction off of. So I've got, let's say, 30 graduates, but not all 30 graduates are going to the same program. They're spreading out and they're going lots of places. I might only have 3 students going to the University of Waterloo. And so that's not a large enough sample size for the University of Waterloo to make a prediction based on other students. However, they do see that our students are very strong. And so they take our marks at face value. So you'll notice that graduate results, 95% of all of our graduates achieve similar or even higher marks. The other 5% saw a small reduction of 5 to 10% in their overall, and that was from last year's grad survey. I am currently doing the 2025 grad survey. I don't have all those results up yet. Once I do, I'd be updating parents. The next one I put on there is the IB and the AP myth. There are a lot of parents asking me about IB programming, AP classes, why we don't have it here. Because there is this myth that if a child has IB classes or an IB certificate or AP classes, that they will, 1, get into universities faster, 2, be more successful. No, that's a myth. There is an assumption, or IB schools will allow parents to assume that if a child gets a 75% in an IB, let's say calculus, that actually equals closer to a 95% in, quote, regular calculus. Universities don't look at that. They seriously just look at the final mark. If they see IB math calculus 75%, they will rate it as 75%. They see our students with a 95 or 96% in calculus, they will take the 95, 96% in calculus. And they will rate the 96% higher than the IB 75. That is a truth. And so other schools that talk about how, universities will add and subtract, that is not true. And there's a link right there, should you wish to follow it, that it just means they take it at face value. So the next slide over here is... well, let me go back to just that before I continue on. The other reason I've decided not to have IB or AP classes here is because I'm fully dedicated to your child getting as many advantages as possible. If that was truly an advantage, so if the AB and the AP and the IB myth was actually a reality, that schools actually do that, you're darn right I would have it here. You're darn right this would be an IB and an AP school, because I want to make sure that your child has as many advantages as possible. The other thing is, at its core, I'm a business. I don't want to lose business. I want your child to stay here at SJSH. I want to provide them with an incredible program. Again, if that provided them, I'd be dumb not to have that program here. It doesn't allow them any advantages, so there's no point in having it. So let's go over now the study by York University. It's called Academic Skill Deficiencies in 4 Universities. What I find astounding all the time is that it's not just the hard skills that students are struggling with. It is all of the soft skills, like lacking confidence. They find it difficult to build arguments in their writing. They don't have the ability to reference with APA, Chicago, MLA. 49, almost 50% of all students lack the skills considered to be essential for academic success. That just blows my mind. So essentially, all these high schools are not actually preparing a child for the rigors of university and college. And our program is built specifically to reduce and eliminate that gap. So doing a bit of comparison between the public system and SJSH, the public school system, students are choosing courses based on the school schedule, so not the individual interests or needs. So the way that they would do it is a teacher, they will look at the teachers they have and say, all right, these are the classes the teachers can teach. Students pick from what the teachers are offering. I'll do it the other way around. I speak to the individual student. What do you need? What do you want? What are you interested in? I get a list of courses that the students want, and then the teachers select, these are what I will pick. So it is a totally different method of how to build the course selection sheet. In the public school system, there are 2 semesters, or some are even still non-semestered, which means they do courses all year long. That's a really difficult thing to go from doing 2 semesters or a full year class, then to go into university and have these 4-month semesters. So we have changed our program over to be a 3 semesters, 3 semesters, 4 and 2 months that perfectly match up with the university expectations. That offers flexibility, sometimes a faster pace, and sometimes even a slower pace if students need it. But what it means is I have the ability for all this time to help with a student. In the public system, students complete 8 credits in a year at a fixed pace. So that's it, they get 8 credits. With us, grade 9 and 10s, they're going to complete 9 credits, and grade 11s and 12s can get 10 credits in a year. So fast tracking through high school is much more of a possibility. In the public system, you have little to no choice course selection in grade 9 and 10. And I'll admit that in SJSH, that is still true because the vast majority of courses in all grade 9 and grade 10 are compulsory. Something that we have, though, is we have built-in career counseling right from grade 9 all the way through to grade 12 with one-on-one guidance. That is directly with me. I know the university and college systems incredibly well. Also, I can give guidance on the United States, other provinces in Canada, and then overseas. I've had students go to the UK. I've had students go to Romania. I've had students go to Serbia. I've had students go to Spain. So I have experience with university program, not just within Ontario, but also around the world. Going back to the public system, there is really no built-in career counseling or post-secondary preparation. Even the more keen student that goes to get career counseling, it's very limited in what they're able to do. In the public school system, there's thousands of students all the same age. There's a lot of social pressures with that. When you have 400 17-year-olds all in the same building, that can cause some issues. Where what we do here is I have about 120, 130 high school students, and it is mixed ages. So grade 9 to grade 12, not that they're necessarily in the same classes all together, although that sometimes does happen with some of our open electives courses, but you see the entire high school chatting, talking, and working together during break times. So someone in grade 11 might have a friend in grade 9, might have a friend in grade 12, grade 10. It is much more realistic with what a work environment would look like. In the public school system, the student government is based primarily on popularity. So it is still that old school, let's have a vote, and a very popular person tends to win the elections. Whereas at SJSH, our leadership program, everybody takes it. You don't have a choice. Every single person is part of the leadership program. And that means that all students are participating in leadership development programs, not just the kids who are popular enough to get the vote. And then the last point I have there's a very high fail rate on the OSSLT literacy test. It's 25 to 35. That was a statistics from a few years ago, so I'd have to double check to see if that's still the same. But it is a quite high fail rate. And then SJSH, we have, it's been a long time that we've had this 100% pass rate, as well as 100% post-secondary acceptance. Parents ask me all the time, what's your acceptance rate in university? I'm like, it's everybody. Everybody who's applied to whatever program they want to get goes. Like, they all get in. And it's just a commonplace here that's happened. The better question to ask isn't did they get in, the better question to ask is did they stay in? Because the real proof of how good we are as a school isn't that we can get the child into the program, it's that they are successful when they are there. So taking a look at our high school, we are very soft skill focused. So we're teaching essential skills that universities expect, but then also careers and employers, organization, time management, adapting to lecture style teaching, exam prep, textbook use. I don't know where textbooks went. They're gone out of pretty much everybody, all the schools, but we still have textbooks. Professional note-taking, workplace manners, resume building, co-op opportunities, all of that allows for that soft skill focus. We also have a leadership program with committees. All of the high school students sit on a committee. We have student council, PR, media, events, Senate, community committee, environment committee. Some of those are just the examples. Students are really gaining hands-on experience in both the school and that broader experience. And then we have students that head out to the Ontario Student Leadership Conference. Something that's new starting this year is our grade 9s and our grade 8, graduating grade 8s and our current grade 9s are going to be going to Muskoka Woods for a 3-day leadership conference. And that is going to be an ongoing yearly thing that we do. We are ministry inspected and approved. We go through a ministry inspection every 3 years. They're making sure that we are holding the student records, the OSRs. We are maintaining the transcripts. They're also taking a look at our assessment procedures and making sure that we're following through with the curriculum expectations. I have been asked personally by my ministry inspector to share a lot of my resources. I have also been asked by my ministry inspector if I would connect with other private schools to give them assistance. So I have assisted probably about a dozen private high schools in and around the Toronto area on how to get ready for ministry inspections. So the school here, SJSH, is rated incredibly high and excellent in our inspections. And then lastly on this page, it is what I would consider a very safe social environment. High school teacher engagement is very high. We have a very accepting atmosphere. I noticed that the kids are kids longer here. They're being silly, they're playing tag, they're running around, they're enjoying just genuine friendships that you see in a very supportive environment. A little bit of life at SJSH for my high school. I have some pictures up here. So one of the pictures at the top there, we went to the food bank. So that's a fairly regular thing that we've done over the years is participate and help packing and organizing at the food bank. My middle picture, I feel terrible for Sam Gerard that her head was cut off in this picture. I'll try to fix it later. But those are 3 of my amazing alumni. So once a year, I have students who have graduated with us. They come back to the school to talk about their experiences, what they had noticed. The middle student, Sam Gerard, she graduated about 2 years ago from a bachelor degree in early childhood education, doing extremely successfully. Mireille on the, I guess it's on the left, she is currently at Wilfrid Laurier University for a Bachelor's of Communication and again is being very successful. She's currently in her 2nd year. And then Dakota, who's on the right hand side, I believe he's in his final year at the University of Waterloo for architecture program. He's also the president of the student architecture program for the 2nd year in a row. So we are very proud of Dakota for all of the amazing things that he has done and all of our alumni. Then I also included a picture showing you what exam time looks like. So very traditional here that the students are sitting in the gym, in a desk, facing the board. Again, that is to prepare them for what university would look like. And then the bottom picture, every 2 years, myself and Miss Butcher are taking students to these incredible experiences around the world. Last year we went to London and Paris, and that's just a group of us at the Louvre. So again, volunteering, leadership, school events. So while we're small, we have all of these amazing things that are built into our program. Our 3-semester system is explained a little bit here. So the fall semester goes from September to December. Students will write exams the week before the Christmas break. The winter semester starts in January and goes till April. Students will write exams mid-April, and then we have an April break. That's why we don't have a March break. We have a break in April. And then that spring semester is May and June, where the grade 9s and 10 students will take what we call a bridge English and math course. So when the Ontario government de-streamed grade 9, which means they no longer call it advanced or general or basic or applied or academic. They've taken all of those terms out and they've made it a straight year for every single grade 9. Streaming only happens now in grade 10. So in order to do that for the math and the English, they've essentially lowered the expectations. They've taken things out to make it a more accessible curriculum for every single student going into grade 9. But what happened is they didn't take out anything from the grade 10 curriculum. Okay, so all of the expectations of academic grade 10 math or academic grade 10 English are still there. So they've widened the gap between now what's expected in grade 9 and what's expected in the grade 10 academic course. So the English and math bridge course that we offer in the morning of May and June fills that gap. It teaches them the content that was removed from the grade 9 curriculum to de-stream everything so that it allows for students to be more successful in grade 10. Our very first year, when they de-streamed it, we actually didn't have that in place because we didn't actually see that was happening. And we had noticed that there were students that were getting 85, 86 in that first year grade 9 math, but then very much struggling in their grade 10 math. And so after that very first year, we said, we are going to correct this mistake that the Ontario government has made. So they will have that bridge English and math in the morning, and then the afternoon they take an additional credit. So some advantages is why we have this. So yes, it does offer that accelerated opportunity. Grade 11 and 12 can finish 8 credits in 8 months. They can start summer jobs in May, or even complete additional credits in that May and June. Most of our grade 12s, I would actually say about 95% of our grade 12s do end up graduating at the end of April of their grade 12 year. This also allows for multiple start dates. So students that are going to universities don't have to just select September as their start date. They could select May as their start date, or they could select January as their start date. Because we align with the universities and colleges, they can choose multiple start dates. And then lastly, it allows for flexibility of all learners. So there are some students that come into our grade 9 that might not be ready for this quick of a pace. And so what I'll do is I'll take a credit, English or math typically, and I'll spread it over 2 semesters. So they'll have 8 months to do the exact same content instead of 4. Sometimes as well, I could put it in the second semester and have it go from second semester to third semester. So they'll have 6 months to do it. Another course might be stretched over all 10 months. So I have this flexibility of a 10-month semester, an 8-month semester, a 6-month semester, a 4-month semester, or even the spring semester, a 2-month semester. So I have all of this flexibility with timing that no other school has. And this 3-semester system allows for slowing down, speeding up, on pace, graduating early, taking a little more time. It has all this flexibility. And that's what you see in universities and colleges. So I wanted to match that flexible pacing as much as I could to what they would experience in college and university. So how you apply to college and university, there are 2 main websites, especially if a student is staying local. You would apply through OUAC, the Ontario University Application Centre, or OCAS, the Ontario College Application Centre. In grade 9, we start with some foundational courses, learning strategies courses. We're introducing some post-secondary options. Ms. Butcher, my VP of high school, speaks with the grade 9s as groups, and they talk about what are those possible options, getting them starting to think. In grade 10, in the back half, So first off, they will take the careers course, which is a little more individual of what they will do, career testing, skill assessment, exploration of programs. But the back half of grade 10 is when we start that one-on-one personal guidance that they will sit with me. We talk about what their strengths are, what their areas of need are, what they're thinking, what they would like. And then students, the goal is that in their grade 11 year, they make a final decision of, this is the program, these are the schools, this is where I want to go. And they have to go into grade 12 with a full and complete understanding of what they're going to do, because their grade 12 year is stressful enough. I can't have them focused on what courses are you going to take in order to achieve what you need. They have to already have that in mind. Plus, university and college applications open up at the end of September. So September 30th, it opens up. If you don't already know what you're looking at or what you're thinking of, that, again, creates a very anxious time period for grade 12s. So the grade 11 year is pivotal that they're doing one-on-one personalized guidance with me and making sure they know what they want to do. And then I just listed around, I've already spoken about it, but most of my students stay in Ontario. The programming here is incredible. I have other students that go to different Canadian universities like UBC, Alberta, McGill, Memorial. There's a lot of colleges in Ontario that students are heading towards. And then I've had a lot of international institutes like Crowder University. I did have a student just before COVID. He went to Crowder as on a baseball scholarship through the NCAA. I've had students go to SoCal, Manchester University, University of Madrid, the University of Medicine and Pharmacy in Romania, as well as Trinity College in Dublin. So what we do is, again, we have high academic standards, strong foundational skills. We do incorporate a university style of learning. We focus on time management mastery, leadership development, self-advocacy, resume building, personal guidance. All of those things help a student graduate from SJSH as intellectually independent and socially mature individuals. So here's the part where I say, do you have any questions? But because this is a video, I don't have an opportunity to provide you any questions. So if you do have questions after you have viewed this video, please give me a call, send me an email. The school's phone number is 519-888-6620. My email is principal@sjsh.ca. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation on my university preparation program here at SJSH. We currently do have seats for some grade 11s. So right now, SJSH is full for the 26-27 school year, with the exception of about 6 seats in grade 11s. So if your child is currently in grade 10 and you are looking for a school that is going to highly prepare them for university or college expectations once they graduate, give me a call because I have seats for your sons or daughters. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic day.